What's up guys, Kevin or the Sports Geek here, back with another DraftKings picks video. This week we've got the St. Jude Classic. I've got a short video for today. Next week is the US Open. I'm going to have a full video for that over at Fantasy Labs. If you don't have an account at Fantasy Labs, I've got my link in the description below. Highly recommend you sign up, and let's get into the St. Jude Classic pick video.
All right, so I've got 5 picks here, 5 golfers that I'm going to be throwing in some GPP lineups. I'd say these are GPP only plays, and I wouldn't have them in too many of my lineups. So if you're doing multiple lineups, you might want to throw them in maybe 10 to 20% of your lineups. You don't want too much exposure to these guys. They're definitely very risky. That's why I like them for GPPs. So starting off, we've got Ben Martin. I'm just going to run through these guys really quickly. As always, I do some other research as well. But for the video, I'm just going to run through the course history and the recent form. So Ben Martin, 7,700. Look at his course history, 2 missed cuts and a 13th place finish. So he's got a pretty solid finish there in 2014. And he's coming into this tournament with some pretty good recent form. So a couple missed cuts, but since then, 18th, 30th, 57th, and 35th. So 30th at the Players' Championship was a very solid finish for him. 18th at the Wells Fargo Championship. Pretty good form for Ben Martin, but he's definitely overpriced here at 7,700, which I think will keep his ownership very low, which is kind of why I like him in GPPs. Second guy here, Kevin Tway, 7,400. His only course history here is a missed cut in 2014, and he is coming off a missed cut this past weekend at the Memorial Tournament. But before that, he did have some solid finishes, 32nd, 3rd, 5th, 20th, and 18th. So if he can get over last week's missed cut, maybe fix his swing or whatever happened to him last week and get back on track, I really like him at 7,400. Kang is also 7,400. He has awful course history, 3 missed cuts since 2011. But his recent form is pretty good as well. If we look back to the Houston Open, he finished 2nd, then he finished 11th, 6th, 30th, 20th, trending downwards a little bit the last 2 events, 57th and 75th this past weekend with a Sunday 83. But if he can get back on track, I like him at the price, just looking at his recent form. And I think he should be low owned given the course history. He's probably the guy that I would probably have the least exposure to out of these, just because he's kind of trending downwards a little bit. He's been playing a lot of events, but I still like him. I'll probably have him in about 10 to 15% of my lineups. Saunders, 6,600. He's coming off a 34th place finish here last year. Before that, 2 missed cuts. His recent form is decent. He did have a stretch there where he missed 3 cuts in a row. Before that, he finished 5th, 20th, and 11th. And then since then, he's finished 24th and 57th last weekend. That was with a Sunday 80. So it's kind of tough to say whether he's going to go downhill from there or he can just get over that Sunday 80 and get back into form. Other than that 80, he had been hitting the ball pretty well this past week. And the week before that, 24th. So he's someone I'll roll the dice with again at 6,600. And then the last play here is Jonathan Randolph, 6,500. He's the cheapest of the bunch. Played here once in 2015, missed cut. Look at his game log here. He's coming off a missed cut back at the Byron Nelson. But prior to that, he had finished 8th, 27th, and 24th. If we go back even further, you can see quite a few missed cuts or high finishes. But that stretch here got me hopeful. If you look at his DraftKings score, pretty good. So he's definitely a flyer pick for GPPs, but someone I think that maybe could have a good tournament this week, coming off a bit of rest. Hasn't played since the Byron Nelson a couple weeks ago. So 6,500 for the price, like him as a GPP play. So that's it for this video. Next week, I've got a big video coming out for the US Open. Really excited about that. If you guys enjoy these videos, make sure you hit that like button. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. Good luck this week. Hope you win some money. Cheers.